Welcome to week 36 of What Did Prince Do This Week? I hope everyone is having a great day so far. We have Cassandra first in the chat and ATA Lynn. We have Red Cat Hookrock looking in the chat. We have Drea Dances also in the chat. We got Kimberly. The last day of cooler temps in West Fargo, North Dakota. I'm savoring the day. Hoping Purple family as well and enjoying life. Love that. We have Tommy from Amsterdam. Let's face it, I'm a fan, not a fan. I just want to know when exactly Prince made another masterful recording and who baked his lemon cake that day. It's so nice to have you here. We appreciate you. And we have Christina from Minneapolis. And we have Kenneth from Cali. We got Nick Felden from Denver, ready for another episode of What Did Prince Do This Week? I'm so excited that you are here. We have Zuzu's Petals all the way from Greece. We have Blade Brown, my alliterative brother. And we have Lisa welcoming the Purple people. This is amazing. 2 weeks in a row. We have Man Ray. Time for another Too Sexy Weekend. Hopefully you guys can hear the audio in the back. I got it a little low. I'm making it a little louder. It's about to get started. And we have Kim, my timekeeper, also from the ATL. Let's see. I'm gonna check my audio. No, it's coming through my mic. Not through, but the okay. Interesting. You can't hear what I'm listening to, so I'm just gonna turn it off. So we have Annie from Under the Cherry Moon Country, and we have sexy. Hopefully you guys heard that. And so we also have our person that's gonna be joining us. All right. So I really wanted to play you something, but it's not coming through. So that's okay because I have a special guest for you who is Zach Hoskins. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you. So I'm sure people are noticing that Mr. Michael Dean is not joining us this week. So I asked Zach to join me, and I am so thrilled that he said yes, because we're going to be talking about Sheila and Sheena. And I was like, who can I talk about Sheila and Sheena with? Zach was the first person who came to mind. So I'm so happy that you're able to take time out of your week to join me. Thank you so much, Carol, for being here. I love this. Ziggity Zach from Kim. And we have Chris Bournet in the house. Hello, D'Angela, Zach, and Purple Fam just ducking in to say hi. Have to work at the Ohio State game this afternoon. I totally understand. Thank you so much for joining us and saying hello for a really quick second. So normally I would have music, and I was really excited about what I had to play for you, but it's not coming through for whatever reason. So we'd have no music this week, which is be okay. Hi, Rodney. Welcome. We have the Zach Attack from Tanja. And we have some welcome Zachs from Christina. So we're just going to get into it since I did an epic fail on the music end. Eldebar, welcome. And hello, Lisa. Hi, Kyle. Yes, Kenneth on that morning train with Sheena for sure. Because it's really funny that you mentioned that, because I watched this live performance of Sheena this morning where she does You Got the Look in 2016. This is a 2016 performance of You Got the Look. And then she goes into Sugar Walls. And then she does a hot second of The Glamorous Life, which I was like, I wonder if Prince told her she was going to get that song too. Because, Bill had mentioned that he had offered it to her. Because I just thought it was really odd. Like, why is Sheena playing a snippet of The Glamorous Life? Is she's trying to give us a clue or something? I don't know. So I thought that was really interesting. We have Karan. We have Chad Martin. Welcome from Minneapolis. We always love our Minneapolis peeps. We have Purple Cat Confetti. It's so great to have you here. I just love saying your name. We have El Michelle here. Yes. Yes, we always miss Michael Dean, but sometimes he has to have, have a life. And so we appreciate that he spends so much time with us. So when he needs to take a break, I was like, go ahead, no problem. And heard you had a great time in my uncle's memorial concert. That is correct. Yes, I did. So we talked about that last week. It was such an amazing, amazing, amazing show. And if you watch the end, yes, Ronnie Drayden, if you watch the end of last week, we talked a lot about that show. It was a really good show. So many people, 24/7 Spies, Nona Hendrix, Living Color, just amazing, amazing show. Yes. So let's get into week 36 of What Did Prince Do This Week? And again, this is a very slow read of Duane Tudahl's Prince Studio Sessions Book Club series through an interactive weekly online book club and Saturday Salon, echoing the spirit of the Harlem Renaissance. Oh, I didn't know it was Gracie's birthday. So we definitely, and for those of you who don't know who Gracie is Michael Dean's daughter. So maybe he's celebrating birthday today with his birthday girl. You're never late, D68A. Thank you so much for being here. And we're here every Saturday at noon, and we're going week to week, not date to date. And you can follow the detailed schedule on this through this QR code or with this bit.ly link. And you do not need the expanded edition. Zach, do you have your book?
I do. Whoops. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, there it is. But this is what the schedule is based on. And I keep trying to give a shout out to Zach's shirt, Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Batman. We love Batman. So anytime we see any Prince Batman, to be honest, when
it is a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
When I think of Batman, I don't think of Batman. I think of Prince.
I think of both, so it's perfect for me. That Michael Keaton, the first Michael Keaton Batman, is like right in my intersection of so many things. Yeah, it is a bootleg shirt, but I will say, if the estate was making better merch, I would buy their merch also. So they got to step it up, or else my money's going to go to the bootleggers. I also, while we're showing off fashion, this is the first time I've showed anyone. I've got a Prince tattoo.
Wow, that
of the label of 1999.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I loved. That's probably my favorite vinyl album. Is The Eye.
Yep. Yeah. Me too.
So amazing.
Yeah, he did a great job. It doesn't show up real well on that. This isn't the best venue for it, but he did a good job with like the spindle hole in the middle of the eye. So it very much looks like a photo, but also like the label. I was like very happy with it. My wife's still getting used to it. I keep threatening her with more tattoos, and she's like, I need to acclimate to this one first.
That is so funny. Yes. Yeah. I can't wait to see it in person. I mean, even virtually, it looks really amazing. And it seems like the artist did a really great job. And I love that they have the spindle hole as well in it. Yep. And Kim says they have that shirt too. So you're not alone.
I thought she might have. I thought I might have seen that.
Yeah. And let's see what Blade Brown is talking about. I think the black and classic yellow logo tees that my entire family had. And then the Prince videos, of course. Yes. So we got to give love to Batman because it just doesn't get enough love, in my personal opinion. And all right, so this one will actually be archived just at Polished Silence since Michael's not here. And please subscribe, like, and help spread the word. Welcome, Melvin Rush II. We always like when you join us, and we have a hashtag WDPDTW, and we have an email if you want to send us stuff. Particularly, we're about to get into the Purple Rain tour very, very soon. And so any ticket stubs you might have, any photos, anything you want to share, any t-shirts, anything you like, pictures of t-shirts you might have picked up or anything like that would be great. And the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. And yes, I know it's no longer called the estate, but I think it's just a nice umbrella for everything because it's not just the family style, but it's also primary wave. And to basically say that this is an independent endeavor. I think you guys understand what I mean when I say the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected. So again, we're week 36 of What Did Prince Do This Week? What we know. That's really important because we learn more and more every day. And this week is an interesting week because there are 0 new songs and 0 studio visits, but there's still a lot to talk about. I love this comment from Lee Christian. Hi, Lee. I'm Batman, but also the Weasel. I love that we have this Batman narrative continuing. And we have one live appearance with Sheila E. So that's what we're really going to talk about, and that's why Zach is here. But before we get into September of 1984, I just want to do a very quick recap of August 1984, which went by so fast. But over the course of August of 1984, Prince had 12 studio days, which is pretty light for him in a month, and 7 songs, which is also very light. But we also had a performance at First Avenue, which is really exciting. And we had the official release of Apollonia 6's Sex Shooter, which is another reason why I'm happy to have Zach here because we're still in Apollonia 6 world. And the songs that Prince recorded this month in 1984 were Happy Birthday, Mr. Christian, Apollonia 6, River Run Dry, Yes, and Misunderstood by the Family. And Around the Roll in a Day, yes, that Around the Roll in a Day, recorded before he even went on tour for Purple Rain. Just chew on that for a moment. The Dance Electric that he would give to Andre Simone, and that's important for when we go into our Purple World ending. And then The Screams of Passion, another family tune. So he was in family mode, finishing, just like Happy Birthday, like the Apollonia 6 record. So he was kind of in finishing mode and also starting mode at the same time, which is actually kind of how he rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So this is what we're going to be talking about for this week, which is the remix of the Belle of St. Mark. And then we're also going to be talking about let me make sure I'm saying the right thing. And then we're also going to talk about, a likely mix of Too Sexy, and then a new song for Sheila, not for Prince. And Duane said possibly called Sunday. And that was on Monday. Then on Wednesday, Prince joined Sheila on stage in Cleveland, Ohio. And that's what we're going to be talking about predominantly today. But then we're also going to talk about one of my favorite songs. And I'm sure it's one of Zach's favorite songs as well, but please.
100%. Yes. You know me well.
Yes. Sugar Walls. So it's an amazing song. And what's really great is even like, so I have the 2016 performance of Sheena Easton doing Sugar Walls, and she killed it. I mean, and you can tell that she still feels it. Like, it wasn't like sugar, like how some people expect out. Like, she really put her all into it, and I love the vocal performance that she did. So you should definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. And we're also going to talk about a little ditty called Wonderful ASS. So it's just
that's another one of my favorites.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, we got to have Zach on if he can. So I really appreciate being here. And then there were some rehearsals. So that's basically what we're going to be talking about today. All right. So we're going to start, and Zach, if you don't mind, starting off our reading for today, which is page 399 for those of you out there in the world.
Okay. So this is Monday, September 3rd, 1984. It starts with a quote from Sheila E. Prince is a nice guy. He just knows what he wants, and that's the way he wants it. If he hires you for something, he expects you to deliver. One of the main things I've learned from him is that you have to follow your heart musically. You can't just do what everyone else does. Follow your heart. It says, although the track had been remixed a month earlier, an additional 8.5 hours were set aside to mix the 12-inch of the Belle of St. Mark during this session. Prince's involvement is unclear, but it was probably only with suggestions over the phone or after reviewing a cassette tape, as he had done in the past. Any changes that Prince noted after reviewing a cassette of Too Sexy were likely made during this session. So remix of Belle of St. Mark was released with Too Sexy as the B-side later in the year. 7-inch single was released in the United States on December 7th, 1984. And then an untitled instrumental, possibly named Sunday, but listed as new song, 5 minutes and 53 seconds, was supposedly recorded on this date. But it is possible that this tune was simply recorded on one of the same tapes used during this session and was mislabeled. New song features Linn drums and a bass played through a flanger that is similar to 17 Days. On top of that are keyboards, string synths, and some live cymbals. The instrumental remains unreleased. It's interesting. It kind of sounds like it's interesting when you go through the songs that he recorded in chronological order rather than in the album format. You start to hear similarities. So like I'm thinking about, I've never heard this Sunday track, obviously, but I'm thinking about like the flanged bass and the Linn drum, and what I'm hearing in my mind is kind of a little bit like Sugar Walls, so it's like he kind of goes through these phases in his music and that becomes very obvious when you listen to them in chronological order. It's like he's working through these very specific ideas and a similar sound kind of pops up for a while. So yeah, it feels like Too Sexy and Sugar Walls and Wonderful Ass, like they all kind of feel like they're in a little bit of the same vibe in a way. 17 Days, that like early 84 sound.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Sheila mentioned this last week or maybe before, where he has these playlists. I really don't do playlists when it comes to Prince, but I should do one where it's just in chronological order of the songs.
Yeah,
that would be really cool to do, that I've never really done, seriously. So, I mean, I think you're absolutely right, because like when you read that, it brings up so many other songs that could fit that format for sure.
Right. Or like I've been writing about Possessed, and I keep hearing similarities to Sugar Walls, and they weren't recorded right up next to each other, but they were both sort of the re-recording of Possessed and Sugar Walls were both like in the first 3 months of 84. So I just think some of the palette that he was using was similar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Blade's talking about Shortberry Straw Cake. Yeah, for sure. A lot of that Sheila E record is in that vein.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I actually put in the accompanying playlist, if you haven't heard it, is the 12-inch of Belle of St. Mark, which I prefer over the album version. I mean, I always prefer the 12-inch version,
right?
Longer. And the same like with Little Red Corvette, like I'm not really keen on the album version of Little Red Corvette, but give me that dance mix and I'm a happy camper. And the same with Belle of St. Mark. Belle of St. Mark is not one of my favorite songs, but I do love the 12-inch. And so if you haven't heard it, you definitely want to check it out. And we're going to move on to our next reading, which is Wednesday, September 5th, 1984. And this is actually, we're going to do a deep dive on this. I have a lot of slides to go with this. So the venue is Agora in Cleveland, Ohio, capacity 1,000, attendance unknown. Prince joined Sheila E. on stage at the Agora in Cleveland, Ohio, where they performed a duet on Erotic City. He also performed The Bird with Jerome Benton and ended the show with When Doves Cry. So I know D68A is here. Do you happen to have that show like on your YouTube channel? Because that would be really great to hear. Because for me, Erotic City is not Erotic City without Prince and Sheila. I've heard Prince perform it obviously many times in concert, but it's not the same without Sheila's voice, because I think it's really important. And yes, Lisa, I am with you. I live for the 12-inch extended cuts. That's what I'm talking about.
I feel so stupid now because I knew that Sheila was in Prince's band on the Love Sexy tour, obviously. And I knew that the performances of Erotic City on the Love Sexy tour are very beloved. I knew of both of those things, but until you just said that, I never made the connection that that's probably why they played Erotic City on the Love Sexy tour, because it was Sheila and because that she was so heavy on that track. It's funny how these like obvious connections, you just gloss over them sometimes.
Well, that's the reason why we do this, right? So like I read this book when it came out, but I forget a lot of stuff. We forget things and we forget these connections. And I think it's really
right. And there's so many of them. Like he was so intentional about his work for such a sustained period. It's just it's crazy that he could keep it all in his head,
Yeah, really, really. But towards the end, he started using the teleprompter, which another thing we're going to talk about is Funkatopia actually interviewed Andre Simone on Tuesday because Andre Simone's mother is being honored with a name in her honor, Bernadette Anderson Way in Minneapolis next Friday, actually. So I'm very, very excited about it. But he talked about Prince called him up on stage at a show and he wanted him to do the Dance Electric. And Andre was like, I don't remember the lyrics. It's okay, we got a teleprompter. Andre was like, what? It was. So you have to watch that episode. I thought it was just hilarious. I can't even.
That is funny.
I wish, sometimes that I was a fly on the wall. I would have loved to have heard that interchange.
Right.
Who would have thought that Prince needed a teleprompter? And I'm sure Andre was like, what is going on? So that was really funny. All right. So let's go through some of these extra slides that I have. Now, first of all, this is from the Plain Dealer, a newspaper in Cleveland, Ohio. And the only reason why I'm showing this is so you can see that the tickets were $6.50. Bottom $6.50, and just crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then they also did like this full page feature on her that I'm not going to read. I am going to read some other stuff. I'm not going to read this, but I just thought that they treated Sheila right. I mean, again, this is her first tour, and in fact, the first date of her Glamorous Life tour. And they really gave her a lot of press in Cleveland, Ohio. And I am going to read this, which is also from the Plain Dealer. It was written by Jane Scott, who seems to be the rock critic of this particular paper. And bear with me, because I didn't see the show, and I'm sure a lot of us didn't see the show. And this is the first show on the Glamorous Life tour. Thought it'd be great to actually hear about it. In addition, you'll see the Michelob concert series over to the right. I love looking at these newspaper articles. You can see Billy Squier.
Billy Squier with special guest Rat. I clocked that.
Yes, and we got Herb Albert, which it has the Jam Lewis connection and the Terry Grass. And then we have Herbie Hancock and the Rocket Band. And what's crazy, and it says featuring D Street and Bernard Fowler. And I saw Bernard Fowler last week at that Ronnie Drayton tribute. So it's kind of crazy. And Bernard Fowler also sings for like Rolling Stones. and special guest Still Pulse, as well as Willie Nelson. So it was a lot going on.
Very diverse lineup at the Michelob concert series.
Yes. I miss that sort of diversity in lineups. All right. So all right. So again, James Scott, what a show. Sheila E. with Prince Encore. Sheila E. did her first show on her first tour Wednesday night at the Cleveland Agora. It was a smash. It also would be pretty tough to follow. Prince showed up for the encore. Rumors raced through the crowd even before the concert that the Purple Rain singer with the world's #1 album might show. Sheila E. is known as Prince's protege. They have the same management company. She'll open his tour November 3rd. Suddenly, during the third song, there were shrieks from those fans who could see into the backstage entrance. A short, slim figure with black curly hair and shades had slipped from the dressing room into the backstage area. Sheila E. left the stage briefly to talk to him, then returned. After Sheila's highest hit, I think that's so funny, highest hit, The Glamorous Life, it happened. Prince bounced on stage in his white chinchilla pants and jacket, playing a guitar, and the cheers sounded like the winning touchdown at an Ohio State-Michigan game. He took off his gloves. "Come on, Cleveland," he yelled, and swung into his rousing Erotic City song from his latest LP, which is incorrect, but we won't go there. There is a word or two in there that some radio stations don't like, but no one seemed to mind. Sheila E. had played on Prince's Erotic City record. They sang back to back. Then she returned to triple time on the drums. Soon, Prince was not only whirling around on the stage, but doing splits to the music. Prince had the women singing and then the men, and then he was dancing down a storm with another sudden arrival on the stage. Jerome, they say Bennett. Obviously, we know it's Benton, but Benton had played Morris Day's sidekick in the movie Purple Rain. By this time, Prince had taken off his shades and even his black shirt. He was bare-chested, except for a cross on a chain around his neck. "Help me out," he asked the audience as the band jammed to The Birds. I love this, The Birds, with an S. Obviously, we know it's The Bird, a song in the Purple Rain movie. The highlight was his platinum single, When Doves Cry, which gives his voice a chance to soar. Prince wound up playing a synthesizer, and Sheila E. moved to trap drums at the back of the stage as the show ended. What a show! But Sheila E., daughter of famed percussionist Pete Escovedo of Santana fame, could have carried it off on her own. We last saw her in the arena playing congas on the Lionel Richie show last year at the Coliseum. A lot has happened to her since, all of it good. Her album is doing fine, and so is her single. She was a slim, trim eye catcher in her tight knicker-length pants, a bluish green top exposing one shoulder, stilt high heels, and sparkling ankle bracelet. It's still a rarity to see a woman play drums or percussion, but it would be rare to see anyone play with such quickness and finesse, lightly, almost delicately, sometimes then with the fervor of a madman. Somehow, she still looked very feminine. She doesn't even seem to sweat. Sheila E. has two types of song. Slow, soft ballads like Noon Rendezvous and Next Time Wipe That Lipstick Off Your Collar, and kickier ones like the Bells of, I love all the name change. The Bells of St. Mark, obviously it's the Belle of St. Mark and Oliver's House. The more upbeat ones showed her off better. Her voice is just a little frail yet for the slower ones. This was her first band. She had said it was hard to choose. She did well. There were 7 up there, including saxophone player Stephen Birnbaum. They put out a snappy Latin pop and rock beat that filled the hall but didn't drown her out. The 2 guitarists and bassists danced around the stage with her as they played. They slinked in unison to her topper, Glamorous Life. Sheila E. spiced up next time by bringing a young man up from the audience to sing to. A rather risky idea, but it worked. Before the encore, Sheila E. drummed with red lights at the tips of the sticks. In the darkness, you could see a red streak, like a flying laser beam. Glamour to her is getting the chance to play for people, she has said. It showed. Opening the show was an up-and-coming Chicago quintet called Amusement Park with a Z, but the lucky audience got 3 for the price of 2. So I really love that review. I thought it was chock full of details and just so funny. Welcome, Sakari. And okay. I love this plate brown. And yes, TP, it does feel like it was written using autocorrect on a cell phone. And that wasn't even the case back then. So yes, so I'm glad, Kyle, that you caught that. Steve Burns and Miko Weaver, 2 of the baddest guitar players around. I don't know if Steven was maybe doing a double duty, but I thought it was weird that they sorry, I got messages. Let's see. Yep. All right. So in the article, they mentioned that Steven was playing the saxophone. So I don't know if he did double duty, but he's definitely the guitarist. Okay. So this is a picture that we think is from the show. I don't know this for certain, but I'm pretty sure because it's basically the white chinchilla, bare chested with the cross on his neck. So if anyone can verify, that would be really fantastic. So yeah, this is Prince just hanging out with Sheila. Love that he actually came to support her. And then I wanted to show this December 30th article, also from written by Jane Scott, because she kind of changed her tune about the Sheila show, because I just read the same article that she had. And hold on, I have to go over here because it's so tiny. I have to read it. But she said that this daughter of renowned percussionist Pete Escovedo took fans by storm with her drum finesse. It was her first gig on her first tour. There were a few weak spots, but they went unnoticed when Prince unexpectedly popped on stage and did 3 encores with her. How can you follow that? So one of the things that was missing from the original review was that I didn't realize that Prince did 3 encores. That's kind of cool. But she kind of changed the tune because the original review was pretty favorable. She didn't really talk about any weak spots. So I thought that was interesting, that a little bit of a changing of the tune there later on in the year. Then this is actually from December 30th, 1984. And this actually just talks about the best shows from 1984. So in Cleveland, and Sheila made the list, which I thought was really cool. So I just wanted to share that. And I found this list. It would be good to know on this website called Prince Associates Live. So this is Sheila's tour. And again, Cleveland, Ohio.
That was her first date.
Yes, was her very first date. Yes. And then that would be followed the next day with Columbus, Ohio, then Chicago, and then Indianapolis, where she does 2 shows. And then she went on to Connecticut. And then there was a show at the Ritz in New York City, which is important to say because you'll later find out, because I didn't know this, that there's a Ritz in Stockholm, Sweden. And she performed at Boston, Richmond, Charlotte, South Carolina, Atlanta, Houston, San Francisco, Hollywood, at the Palace, Paris, France, the Ritz in Stockholm, Sweden. And then she kind of goes into a European tour where she hits the Netherlands. She does some TV performances that I didn't include in here, and ends it in Minneapolis on October 25th at First Avenue, which I actually do have in the accompanying playlist, which is on D68A's YouTube channel. Yes, Real Line to DJ. I love this comment. This particular period of the sound still inspires me. It was so innovative at the time. And it's so innovative to me that it still sounds brand new, because all of the people who tried to replicate that sound never really did, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of what he recorded in 83 for Purple Rain and what he recorded in 84. It's almost like it could be two different albums. It feels like an evolution, you know. And then I think it was smart of him to put When Doves Cry on the album, even though it was so much newer, because it sort of elevated everything else. You know, it made When Doves Cry being there and sounding like it was from the future brought everything else up to that level.
Yeah, because
But I love the second half of Purple Rain, period.
yeah, I mean now we're having epiphanies, right? So you just gave me
Right.
an epiphany. When Doves Cry is really a quintessential B-side that really doesn't feel like it would go on the album, but
Yeah,
it's on the
yeah.
album, and it's a sort of a centerpiece of the album. So it's interesting that, you know, because I always wondered, like, why do certain songs end up being B-sides and why certain songs end up on the album around this period of time. And it just seems like When Doves Cry would have been a B-side, because for me the B-sides were always kind of cooler than anything that was actually on the album. And
Yeah.
but
And I
like you
think that's
said,
because it's newer, you know, like you usually finish the album and then he'd record the B-sides. So whatever was like Irresistible Bitch, he was well into Purple Rain and it sounds fresh, you know, even though it comes out on the B-side of Let's Pretend We're Married.
yeah, yeah. So again, all sorts of epiphanies today we're having. All right. So this is according to Prince Vault. I mean, not Prince Vault, but Prince.org. I had to do a lot of searching today. This was the band, and this sounds about right to me. So anybody who saw these shows in real time, you can correct me. I saw, you know, Sheila open for Purple Rain, but I didn't know everybody in the band at the time, so I wasn't really paying attention to who was with her. But according to Prince.org, on this particular leg of the tour, obviously Sheila E was on vocals and percussion. Miko Weaver, yes, the one and only Miko, was in Sheila's band first. And then we just talked about Steven on guitar, another guitar. And then Susie Davis, keyboards. Ken Gray, keyboards. Benny Retfield or something like that. My apologies, on bass. Carl Perazzo on drums. Juan who is Sheila's brother, Juan Escovedo, on percussion, and Eddie M. Minifield on sax. So that was the band. And this photo is supposedly from the Chicago show. So I love this photo. You see Sheila's back is turned and Steven's back is turned. And you see Susie over there to the right. And remember Susie, because we're going to talk about her. And again, we already looked at this. I don't know why I have this twice. So this is the ticket from the Alarosa Villa show, which happened on Thursday in Columbus, Ohio. I have a lot of Columbus fans. And yes, that typewriter is typing. That's right. So, and I love this comment from Blake Brown. The temple continued with Kiss and Thieves in the Temple. So I have a lot of family in Columbus, Ohio. I know that Chris Barnett, who may no longer be with us because he has a game to get to, is also from Columbus. So here's some more photos from the Chicago show, which happened on that Friday, September 7th. And today would be the 40th anniversary. Thank you so much for pointing that out, Drea Dances, of the Chicago show. And this is obviously the outfit that Sheila wears on the cover, and you see Eddie M in the back. I love this photo. I'm a fan of Gary Winogrand, an amazing photographer, and he always took his photos off kilter like this, like on an angle. So this kind of reminds me of Gary Winogrand's style. So I really love this photo. And this is another photo really showing the silhouette of the pants that we heard from the one and only Mr. Von Terry that they, Lewis and Vaughn designed this amazing outfit. This has always been one of my favorite outfits ever because you can put your drumsticks on the side. I thought that was just so amazing. So it's great seeing her wear in concert. It's another shot there. And
these clubs are so small. It's just
yes,
like, how amazing would it have been to see Sheila E.'s Glamorous Life Band in a club this size?
it would have been amazing. So, so D68A is saying Dutch angle photo. So actually, I'm glad that you said that. In the company playlist, there is a show, a live show from this tour. I can't remember which date it is. So you can actually watch the entire set in video. And then again, we have another live performance where Prince joins Sheila for Too Sexy towards the end of the First Avenue show on October 25th. So both of those are in the playlist if you want to hear Too Sexy live, because we've been talking about Too Sexy for the past couple of weeks, for those of you who don't know why I'm concentrating on Too Sexy. But you can also see the entire show, which was really stellar. And the reason why it was stellar, and in case you don't know, Sheila really was giving Prince a lot of amazing musicians from her band, or finding them, in Oakland. So, obviously Miko went to Prince's band. Levi was originally in Sheila's band. Bonnie was originally in Sheila's band. Just you could go on and on and on and on. Miko, so like, because first and foremost, Sheila is a musician. Her band the musicians in her band were always amazing musicians. And this tour is no different. So I highly recommend that you actually watch that show to get a feel of what it was like to go to a club Sheila show, as Zach pointed out. And this is another shot, again, on the angle. I love Eddie M's pants. The little checkerboard or polka dots, can't figure out which one. And I found a couple of, well, actually, there's several more Getty images by Paul Natkin, that shows more images from this particular show. But I really loved the shot and the shot where she did a change of clothes.
Mm-hmm. Do we know if Lewis and Vaughn were designing for Sheila's band also, or what?
So the thing is, I don't know for sure, and I don't think they were designing everything.
Right.
And the reason being, because you just you kind of queued up my next conversation.
Oh, so, look at
that. Susie Davis had put a couple of cassettes on auction that no one bought. If you look, and this was the basically the Park West Chicago show, like the live recording of that. And she also had another show from September 7th, the Indianapolis show, which technically is September 8th, not September 7th, as they have on the auction. But another thing that she had that I didn't take a screenshot of is she had this jacket that was very sequined. And I was like, that doesn't look like Lewis and Vaughn. And luckily, she actually took a shot of the tag, and it wasn't Lewis and Vaughn. So I think that, again, we would have to ask Mr. Terry himself, but it seems like he might have they actually probably designed a few key outfits, but not everything. Because I do know that when we did the Erotic City interview, there was a garment that they did do for Juan that he did wear on the tour. So I think it was select pieces, basically.
Yeah, maybe it's like if it's in a music video or if it's on an album cover or shoot, that kind of thing. But then just the stuff you're wearing on the tour. Yeah. If you're not Prince, you're on your own.
Yes, it seems that way. Again, like a few key pieces. All right, so we're going to move on, and we're going to actually, I skipped a slide. So we're going to have you read about, Zach, if you don't mind going to page 400 and reading about Friday, September 7th, because I forgot to.
Yeah. So Friday, September 7th, Sheena Easton's album, A Private Heaven, is released, containing the Prince-penned Sugar Walls, which would be released as a single later in the year. And then we want to talk about Sugar Walls, or should I keep going? Yeah.
No,
All right.
talk about Sugar Walls for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I think it popped up the other day. I think I was listening to it while I was working on my post about Possessed, because he basically takes the keyboard part from Possessed, and where I don't really want to sing it, but it's like, where it goes, dun, 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 and then my sugar wall, it's like the same kind of thing. So I was listening to it, and I hadn't listened to Sugar Walls in a while. I do love the song, but it was like, listening to it, I was like, even me, a Sugar Walls apologist for life, has underrated this song, because there's just like so much going on, especially if you're listening to it with headphones. It's like you've got the flanging and the phasing on the drums, and it's just such a perfect example of what we've been talking about, this like this 84 phase of Purple Rain, that sound, like the midway point between most of the Purple Rain album and Around the World in a Day. It's like sort of a little psychedelic, but it's not really, it doesn't sound as like retro as Around the World in a Day would. It's like a very 80s synth focused version of psychedelic music that I struggle to think of anyone other than Prince. It's like, he kind of has that style all to himself. I can't think of other, like some of his stuff from Around the World in a Day is very Paisley Underground, and I can hear that. And when we talk about like psychedelic music in the 80s, a lot of the time that's what we're talking about. But like Sugar Walls is very trippy and weird, but it doesn't sound like the 60s. He's using 60s tech, 60s studio tricks to create this very 80s sound.
That's really interesting that you say that, because Sugar Walls was recorded in January of '84.
Yeah.
And Around the World in a Day wasn't recorded until like August. We just talked about it maybe a couple of weeks ago. And Sheila E was on, and we were having a debate on, who influences, like, where's Prince getting his influences? If certain people are influencing him and so on and so forth. So, there's a whole narrative around, the song Around the World in a Day. And also there's this whole other like Beatles thing too as well.
Right.
So it's just really interesting that you say that, because I have to listen to Sugar Walls yet again, which I never tire of listening to Sugar Walls. One of the reasons why I love Sugar Walls is that, well, a lot of Prince's music at this particular time had a lot of sonic space. Like it wasn't like, if you compare it to like songs off of Love Sexy, where almost there was no space, like every single like moment was filled to the brim with instruments or something. I just really love the space that he had. And then the beats, like the like, if you think of a beat like Sex Shooter, Sugar Walls, even Hot Thing, just like the beat itself, it could be on repeat, and like you would never get tired of it. I don't know how he does that, but he does it, and Sugar Walls is one of those songs.
And those effects that he puts on the Lin, they really flourish in the space. Like the wider the stages sonically, the more you can just hear these sounds just like ping around, like when Doves Cry is the really obvious example, but I hear it in Sugar Walls also. There's just so much like noise almost in the empty space between the beats. All that flanging is creating these really interesting.
Oh no, I think Zach actually. I think Zach froze. Yeah, Zach froze. So I'm sure Zach is going to come back because I wasn't sure if it was on his end or my end. But let's see. Kim is saying Sugar Walls sounds more like breaking pop lock type stuff, hip hop electro. So you got cut off midstream.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just like it kicked me off of everything, but I think I'm back. Yeah, I totally hear that too. It does have that. I would say starting with like the single version of Irresistible Bitch, you can really hear where the electro artists got a lot of their sound. And I mean, I'm not like, I know it's the temptation as big Prince fans is to like credit him with everything. I know he wasn't the only one, but I don't know. I know that, you know, Egyptian Lover, for example, very, very explicitly cites Prince as an influence. And you could just kind of look at him and tell that Prince was an influence. So,
but you can also hear it. I mean, it's really like not, it's clear as day, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing I just want to say before we get off Sugar Walls, that really didn't. So I can be a little down on Sheena Easton sometimes, and let me tell you why. It really boils down to You Got the Look, and the You Got the Look video in particular, meaning that. And this happened to me like when that song came out and I saw the video and I was like, you got Sheila and Bonnie. Why is Sheena singing? Look, that's always been like, why is Sheena singing on You Got the Look? And then obviously, you know, the video in the midst of the Sign of the Times live movie and how it's just like the video quality is so crappy. Right. It just makes it even matter. It's just like, why is the video in here? If Sheena wasn't singing on this song, you know, there would have been concert footage perhaps. So anyway, that's when my Sheena, but before You Got the Look, I really love Sheena, particularly because of Sugar Walls. And today when I was watching that 2016 performance of her singing Sugar Walls and how much passion she had, I was like, okay, yes, Sheena she has a great voice. And I've been a little too hard on her because of You Got the Look.
Yeah, Deja in the chat is making a point that Sugar Walls may have originally been intended for Jill. And I totally believe that. Because, I mean, if you listen to like All Day, All Night, for example, it's very much from the Sugar Walls, you know, cut from the same cloth. And then, you know, just the way Sheena sings it, which is I think a lot about, I think it's from Prince's notes for the Hits compilation that Anil posted a long time ago. And I always think about his quote, Prince's quote about Jill, which is she was a cliff diver vocally. And there's something about like Jill just really goes for it. She's from that like Tina Marie school of just like singing your ass off and not really caring that it might sound kind of crazy sometimes. And it's, you know, and Sugar Walls is in that vein. It's like, it has that like kind of unhinged quality that sometimes Jill could bring to, I mean, I'm especially thinking about All Day, All Night. And, you know, that also like that Prince had too. And I think that's why he wrote so well for Jill. Cause he's like, she's just gonna, you know, shred her vocals on this. And so it is like, after learning that, I was like, of course he thought of Sugar Walls for Sheena. But then it's I can't quite, like, Jill says Madonna, which is like, okay, that makes sense. And I know that Prince was obviously in 84. He was very invested in the idea of crossing over to the white charts, you know. But Madonna wasn't that big a star in January of 84, you know, like that was before Like a Virgin and everything. So, I mean, maybe he saw where that was going and he was just like, well, let's have a white girl do this. Although Jill was doing a lot of the, like, they were kind of making Jill racially ambiguous anyway. I honestly, my personal pet theory is that he kind of just was into the idea of taking this really wholesome "My Baby Takes the Morning Train" singer and writing her this, incredibly like gynecologically explicit song, and just like that kind of extreme image change, I think might have been tempting for him to be a part of, because she was like the Kylie Minogue of her era. There's probably a more timely person than that, but
I mean, that is definitely a theory. Like, I mean, my theory is just that was just the zone that he was in. And it's just some of the songs that he would give people were not connected with them, like the song he gave to Joni Mitchell, right? That wasn't like a good fit. So I think, I don't know necessarily if he was thinking that hard personally, because he was in just like production mode, because he had all this stuff going on in terms of, the movie, the tour, all the other productions like Sheila, Apollonia 6, The Time, Morris leaving, it just so much stuff was going on.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like he just met a beautiful woman and was like, "Let me give you a song." Like it might not even been that calculated.
Yeah,
he was just like, "What song do I have lying around?"
Yeah. I mean, that's my personal opinion, but who knows? We don't know. I mean, nobody knows. Only Prince knows, and he's not longer with us. So we're just talking about. And then I love Laura. Hi, Laura. Hope you're well. Baby Prince just like Sheena's voice.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
It's just hard for me to imagine hearing her earlier stuff and being like, I've got the perfect song for her, and it being Sugar Loss,
Yeah. So definitely all of you, I highly recommend in the accompanying playlist, if you go to my YouTube channel, because I can't remember, and we'll look at it later today, at Polished Solid, and look at that 2016 performance of Sugar Walls, because it was really amazing to hear, because it reminded me how strong of a vocalist, going back to Laura's comment, that Sheena actually was. It's just I was holding on for a grudge because of the whole "you got the look," but that wasn't her fault. So, all right, I'm going to read page 400 to 401, which is Friday, September 7th, 1984. It's our last reading of the day, but we still have our music break and other stuff. So, wonderful ads, various vocal overdubs, raspberry beret, likely rehearsal, funky groove, likely rehearsal, Flying Cloud Drive Warehouse, Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Producer Prince, artist Prince and Revolution, engineer Susan Rogers. I remember Wonderful Ads perfectly well because it's such a humorous kind of song and it was fun to sing. I always kind of remembered that and kept it in my heart. After all these years, it's one of my favorites. It's got a great melody, a great groove, and it's something kind of silly to say, and that is Lisa Coleman. Wonderful Ads had originally been recorded in late 1982, early 1983, but was brought out for some additional updates to include Wendy and Lisa. On this date, Melvin and Coleman added their vocals to tracks 18 and 19 and likely some additional overdubs to the original tune. Considering the session was edited to Prince and the Revolution, it makes sense to hear Melvin and Coleman chanting, "The Revolution will be heard." Although the original inspiration for Wonderful Ass was reportedly vanity, it is reasonable to assume that there were multiple inspirations for the song, and that seems to have made the session and the track so playful. Wendy and her twin sister, Susanna, are pretty famous for having nice butts, detailed Lisa, and Prince did have one of the world's cutest butts. Prince was dating Susanna and I was with Wendy. It was us being goofy about our girlfriends. I sang co-lead with Prince. It was a happy-go-lucky time. Status: the updated version of Wonderful As 6 minutes and 24 seconds from these sessions was included on the Purple Rain Deluxe Expanded Edition CD set in 2017, and I was so grateful when that was finally officially released. The song was offered to the Violet Femmes, but they declined. The band's founding drummer, Victor De Lorenzo, described the decision as another mistake in a long line of many made by Violet Femmes, We did consider it, but at the time we were thinking, wow, if we record something like this, it is going to be able to really get out there, even if we say it's a Prince song, because of the subject matter and that. Is it going to be able to really get out there? Is that the right thing for us right now when we're trying to get something really on the radio? No information about the rehearsal that included Raspberry Beret and Funky Groove is available. So, Zach, I know you have lots to say about.
Yeah, I'm going to start with, because I've read this book before, and every time I read the story about Prince, I guess this is more evidence for it doesn't even have to be a beautiful woman. It's just like Prince meets somebody, wants to give them a song, and like rummages around in his bag. Because when I listen to Wonderful Ass, and I do a lot, I do not think of the Violent Femmes singing it. That is hilarious, and I really wish that they'd had the guts to record it, because I want to hear what they sound like singing it. It's super interesting. Yeah, I wonder when. Like, I have so many questions even just about that. Like, when did he run in? Because if they were trying to get in on the radio, their first album was, it might have been right around this time, right? That when was
I don't
Blister
know.
in the Sun. That was 83. So it probably would have been, I feel like they had a very small window to maybe get on the radio. They had an album that came out in 84 that is not at all, that this wouldn't make sense for at all. And then their next album after that was 86. So maybe it was around then. That's the latest I can imagine it being. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I love this out. I love this song. I love every version of it. The Wendy and Lisa version that's been officially released is great. The earlier, I think there might be a couple of earlier versions floating around out there that are a little more stripped down. Those are great also. It's just, it's so, other than the title, of course, it's so commercial. I think it could have, if he'd changed the words, it could have been a hit. But then I wouldn't have wanted him to change the words, because part of what's fun about the song is how kind of, this isn't supposed to be a pun, but cheeky it is.
Yeah, I really like this comment. I've never thought about this, Blade Brown. Like, what if the Time would have sung this song?
Yeah. Yeah, he does a little bit of that, doesn't he? At the end, he slips a little bit into that Jamie Starr voice. He's like, I love that ass. So yeah.
I have my Jamie Starr on today.
Yeah. So maybe he was kind of thinking about that when he recorded it.
Yes. All right. So Kim, our timekeeper, has given us a 1 p.m. But we're really good. That was our final reading of the day. And we're just going to go through some more slides. And so we're just going to go through this really quickly and get to the music break. We've been talking about Layla Hathaway being on tour. She will be in Seattle tomorrow, and then Berkeley on the 11th and LA on the 12th. Again, Bilal's new album, I'm really happy, is coming out very, 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 very soon. And I'm very excited about Michelle Ndegeocello's performance at NJPAC, if you're in the tri-state area, on October 6th for her brand new album, No More Water, The Gospel of James Baldwin, which you should definitely listen to if you haven't listened to it. It's really good. And Bilal is also going on tour in October, and I'm very excited that he will be in New York on the 19th at the Music Hall of Williamsburg. And then I'm waiting for Andre 3000, who will be performing at the Brooklyn Academy of Music on October 25th and 26th. But for my AT aliens in the house, I would really love to see him at the Fox. And all of us should know that the Fox was the venue where Prince did his last performance. It is a magical venue. So if you are in the Atlanta area, I highly suggest that you go see Andre 3000 at the Fox on November 14th. And then also on November 14th in the tri-state area, I'm really looking forward to this performance of funk, tribute to funk at NJ Pack as well, with Bilal, Nona Hendrix, Christian McBride, George Clinton, Vernon Reed, Savion Glover. And so I'm really looking forward to this particular performance. And let's get into the purple world. So, oh, wow, I did not know that. Thank you so much, Panic Survivor, that Andre 3000 would be on Sade's, because I didn't even know Sade was going to release a new song. So this is very, very promising. And Karan is just as excited as I am about Michelle Ndegeocello and Bilal and Andre. Thank you so much, because this is what it's all about. Real music by real musicians, and we have to go and support them, since streaming isn't really giving musicians any revenue. And I do not want to live in a world where you can't see live music and musicians can't make a living. So I try to support them as much as possible. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for letting us know that Sade announced it on IG last night. That's really fantastic. And let's see. I missed what Love Sexy said about NXS. I'm an NXS fan, so fill me in. What did I miss?
Oh, well, they were saying that the part at the end of the part that Jill co-wrote, the where it's rhyming all the words, educate, there's a song that Need You Tonight on Kick, that Need You Tonight flows into, that has that exact same cadence. And Love Sexy was saying, I'm sure they had that on bootleg, and I have to imagine that they'd heard it, especially because I feel like Kick is the most Prince sounding album not by Prince in a lot of ways. Like, they were very clearly influenced, it's just too similar for it to be a coincidence, in my opinion.
That's so funny that you say that, because I had Kick. So I got into NXS with The Swing, that their album The Swing. So I was already into them before they got to Kick. But Kick was the one that I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And that song in particular, where they basically rip off The Wonderful Ass, is essentially my favorite song.
Yeah.
And I never made the connection. Maybe that's why, because it's pretty funny. All right. We're making so many associations today, Zach. It's all because of you. All right. So I already mentioned this, but if you haven't, please watch the Funkatopia episode with Andre Simone that aired earlier this week. He came on to basically promote the special dedication for his mom of Bernadette Anderson Way in Minneapolis. And it's going to be on the 1200 block of Russell Avenue. So Andre Simone is going to be there, and it sounds like there's going to be a lot of people there. So if you're in the area or can get to Minneapolis by Friday, September 13th, you should definitely try to make it, because it sounds like it's going to be amazing. And I highly recommend, Christina, that you go back and listen to NXS. They're really good. And Laura is saying, to add on to Zach's point, I feel like George Michael's Faith is basically a Prince album. Another album that I listened to a lot when it was released in real time as well. And Lee Christian is saying, Kick is so Princey, but Raw and Cooked by Fine Young Cannibals is even more Princey. These are all my favorite albums as a kid. And yeah. All right. So these are definitely, I'm very excited that Bernadette Anderson is being honored with a name, with a street in her name. So just as Spike Moss was also honored and has a road named after him now. So Minneapolis knows what's up and honoring those that came before us or are still with us, because Spike is still here. All right. And so the Purple Experience is happening Friday, September 27th at Paisley Park. It is a charity event. And last week we mentioned that Sheila has been added to the lineup alongside Morris Day and The Time and the MPG. Yes. And Lisa said that the Hot Funk single from Bandcamp, Hot Funk, is basically Andre's new single was played on Funkatopia, but if you want to support, you can purchase it on Bandcamp. And he talked about how he's going to be releasing a new funk album very soon, hopefully. But again, watch the episode. Is a really good episode. And we appreciate Funkatopia for all that they do. And next week, we are going to be reading pages 401 to 412. And we're going to continue to talk about Wonderful Ass, as well as talking about basic tracking for Paisley Park. We're going to start talking about mixes for She's Always in My Hair. And then we're going to be talking about Paisley Park some more, jam, and then the basic tracking and rehearsal of Raspberry Beret. And then we're going to continue to talk about Raspberry Beret. And then Prince joins Sheila for the Ritz New York City show. And we'll be talking about more Sheila shows that aren't on this little strip. And then we're going to talk also about high fashion. And that little January show shouldn't be there. So I don't know how that showed up. So that's it. Unless there's anything else you'd like to say, Zach.
No, I think we hit everything. It's a pretty tight little part of the book we covered. So
yeah. So thank you so much for joining.
And yeah, thanks everyone for having me. I know I'm not there. Michael Dean, those are big shoes to fill, but hopefully we still had fun.
We did have fun, and I'm missing something. I wonder where I put it. Why isn't it showing up? So I knew it's like, why isn't that showing up? So actually tonight, if you're in the tri-state area, what happened to that slide? I had a slide and everything. It's like it disappeared. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can actually put it up. So there's going to be, give me 1 second. Why isn't it? Hold on. I have to, sorry about this. And so tonight, I have so it's going to be 174th Scythe Street. Let me see if I can find it. Prince Preframe, the Robert Whitman photos. Find it. Here we go. Okay, give me 1 second. So, really quickly. So tonight, there is going to be an opening reception of all the photos. He released a book a couple years back, might be longer than a couple years back because I bought it. And he had another opening reception, which was really amazing because he showed a lot of, let me share this instead. He had a lot of like these contact sheets.
I love the contacts. Yeah.
I love, and they were huge, meaning they were like maybe like 6 feet tall. I mean, like massively tall, like
wow.
5 feet or 6 feet. So I'm hoping that they have these contact sheets there tonight because I would just love to see them again. But these are some of the photos you would be able to see in person if you choose to go there tonight. So yeah, I knew I was like, something's wrong. And I was like, we're ending too soon and I'm supposed to be doing something. So yeah, so again, it is tonight and it is at the Key Smith Gallery on 170 Forsyth Street, 6 to 9 p.m. Yes, Tracy. Yes, there it is. So make sure you RSVP if you want to see those photos. And now we can say we are out.
Yeah, those photos are amazing. He's a literal teenager, and those are so iconic. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. And and Carol said the reception in San Francisco on Haight Street was cool. Got an autographed copy of the book. The intro by Spike Lee is beautiful. Yes, it is for sure. All right. Welcome, Mr. Ocean. Yes. So thank you, everyone. And I hope to see some of you maybe tonight at the Kai Key Smith Gallery, looking at some Prince photos. Bye, Zach.
Bye.